there are many challenges within this play. It's a very specific type of piece. One of the challenges being the variety of accents as an actor that you have to get a grip on. You've got the Welsh accents within the school. I played Lisa, the school pupil, within those scenes. So we were looking for a Haverfordwest accent.
Hastings, yeah. Thought it was someone else then for a second.
We did have a vocal coach in to help us with stuff, but they mainly concentrated on the American accents. The first time round, we had a Singaporean actress playing Mrs. Stokes.
He can play for Wales, so he has as much right to be here as any of you.
Actually, she played Mrs. Stokes with an RP accent, which was an interesting choice. I mean, there's a whole range of accents that you could choose for Mrs. Stokes because she's not necessarily from that area. So that's something nice to play with if you were given the character of Mrs. Stokes to talk about with regards to accent or vocal.
Name!
Sergeant Bradley Manning, Sergeant!
Are you the runt of the platoon, Bradley Manning?
Sergeant, I don't think so, Sergeant!
I think you are. Are you going to prove me wrong, Bradley Manning?
Sergeant, yes, Sergeant!
Until then, what are you?
In the play, Bradley is male. So also, for me, when I was playing Bradley as a character, that was challenging because I'm a female. Because you're obviously wanting to honour that person as they are, not give any false impressions. Although this is an artistic interpretation of that person, you also don't want to upset anybody. When we were performing in Haverfordwest, some of Chelsea's family came to see the show. So obviously we didn't want them to feel alienated or disrespected at all. Physically then, in general, in the play, it's an intense physical show. In preparation for performances, we did have someone ex-military come in to do some military training with us. So we became quite fit. The show, when we performed it, was approximately, I think, about 2 hours and 10 minutes long. So to keep going and to keep the pace up and to remember that physicality of a soldier, it's huge, you know, particularly for someone like me. At the time, I was extremely unfit. I wasn't doing any exercise at all. So I think an actor who would be portraying some of these parts, or actually all of these parts, because you're going to be multi-rolling probably, you have to be fit. So with, for example, a character like Lisa, my physicality was probably okay as it was. I didn't have to think about it that much because she was quite similar to me. A bit younger maybe, but in general, kind of similar to me. Playing the character of Bradley was interesting. When you think of a 20-year-old male, as Bradley was then, you assume that they're going to be taller. But actually Chelsea is quite a small, petite person. So that was really, really interesting when we came to do scenes like beginning to train in the army. You can see the disadvantages straight away of being that small. And also we had a person who was in the cast called Kyle Reese, who's extremely tall. I think he's probably around 6 foot. Now the difference between us is incredible. So just taking all that into account is interesting, the size of the people that you're casting and what that means.
Why would we ever record a mistake?
Because we're the professionals.
That gives us every reason not to record mistakes.
I'll talk about Tina a bit now. Tina is a character who appears in scene 7. She only appears in scene 7, so we only get a snippet of her. So it's about making bold decisions, I think, when you have a character. She's sort of a stock character, but not. She has a backstory that you can give to her. There's certainly things that you can pick up from the script which would inform that character and the choices that you make. But it is only a snippet.
Soy latte?
Flat white soy latte. I'm sorry
Thank
about
you.
So, where are you living now?
We did a bit of research with regards to Chelsea's past in her workplaces where she used to work, and she was unhappy in a lot of these places, I think, from what I could glean at the time. And I think you certainly pick up that mood from what Tim's written. So I decided that Tina would probably be a sort of stock American girl character. So vocally, I went for the general American smiley kind of California girl, stuff that you hear on TV a lot, which was good for me because I could just watch TV a lot and practice the accent.
I'm not being mean.
You are.
Oh, forget it.
My friend lives in Midtown. Whereabouts?
Brady Arts District, around there.
She works in retail, Tina, so that sort of informed it as well, that she'd probably be kind of working class. which would reflect that accent also. Yeah, and kind of, she's quite young, she's still working in retail, she doesn't want to be there forever, she says, I don't want to be in a dead-end job, so those sorts of snippets of information inform the way that I used my voice. I've got quite a low voice naturally as a human being, so I tried to raise it as well for Tina, to give it a bit more of a sunny disposition and to give a bit more variety then when I was playing different characters. Physically, this scene is quite specific again. It's quite stylised. There are lots of stage directions in this scene, which made me think, and also the director, John McGrath at the time, that it was a very stylised scene. I mean, there's references to sorting out coffees. There's references to folding shirts. There's references to building burgers. There's references to cleaning and also on a headset.
Jason said he saw you sleeping in your car.
I was doing a double shift.
He's seen you a few times. I'm just putting you through to our policy support team, sir. Please hold.
So we're sort of exploring all the things that Chelsea might have done at that time and condensing it into one scene with one person. The way we did it was quite natural, but we were given props by other actors and we were using specific props. We didn't mime those things. We had a burger, we had a t-shirt, but we only had one. I think there's lots of ways that you could do that. I mean, you could mime it, you could dance it. If you were going for a really, really physical production of it with able dancers, there's a number of ways that you could sort of interpret those stage directions. And I think Tim was quite fluid with the way that he wanted this performances of this show to be interpreted. So when you're answering questions about physicality, I think that's something really interesting to explore, using those stage directions and interpreting them in your own way. That's what a director does, and just because one director has done that specifically in that way doesn't mean that everyone should in every performance, and that's what makes it exciting.
I've lived in the UK. I've built websites, practically nursed my mom on my own. I'm sorry if that's made me want to do something with my life.
Motivation-wise for Tina, it's interesting also because it's such a short scene. How on earth do you find motivation for a character that is a page long? I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult for a professional actor. It's even more difficult for someone who's never had to think that way before. What I think comes out of this scene more than anything else is that Tina's character wants to know the truth. She wants Bradley's character to tell her the truth. She uses loads of different tactics within, I don't know how many lines she has. She probably has about 20 lines. The tactics she uses, she's a very clever person because she employs so many tactics. I've written some of them down. She asks him questions. She challenges him. She accuses him. She advises him. She befriends him. And then finally, she teaches him a lesson. So all those things are being used just to get that one thing, the truth. She wants Bradley to tell her where he lives, what his background is. That's all she wants to know.
Sort of didn't really belong there, so I've got my own place in Midtown. Landlord's kind of crappy.
Okay.
With regards to interaction, eye contact was an interesting issue in this scene actually because of the way we were performing it, we were standing next to each other. Matthew Aubrey was playing the part of Bradley in this scene, and we were standing side by side all the time so that everyone could see us, and also to give the idea of the production line. So we couldn't look at each other, and that presents its own challenges. It's really interesting to play something where you really want something from somebody, particularly the truth. People say the eyes are the window to the soul, so if you want in the truth, you're going to look in somebody's eyes. She's not getting that. Tina's not getting that from Bradley, so that's really interesting too, and that's something that you would have to decide on as a director, or when you're answering this question, that's something to think about.
I'm just putting you through to our policy support team, sir. Please hold. You sleep in your car.
Hey, I don't sleep in my car.
You're always the last to leave, and you have a toothbrush in your drawer.
I'm a hard worker.
Everyone's seen you brushing your teeth in the toilet.
That doesn't mean anything.
You walk around looking down on everyone and telling us we're all stupid, but you're the one who's homeless.
I share a place in Midtown.
Oh, really? I thought it was your own place. I'm just waiting for one of our colleagues who's on another line.